Alright guys, so we are continuing our pre-drift event prep and just kind of nut and bolting the car. A couple things I've noticed already. Number one is my turbo's actually loose on the manifold. I have a couple bolts that are loose on the turbo, so definitely need to snug that down. You can actually, if you, it's a little dark right now, see down there. It must have been leaking toward the end of the last event. Also, I have the culprit of my clutch breaking at the last event. If you recall, at the very end of my last drift event, I had to pull off track and get towed because my clutch went flat to the floor. The reason for that is this clutch, which is the adjustment, this actually connects to the back of the clutch pedal. This depresses in on the cylinder. This had backed out somehow. You can tell that thread is just a little bit marred on the end right of the first one, so I'm not sure if someone only had it in one thread. But I have never personally messed with this, so interesting to see how this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in, make sure I get it threaded in there at least 2 or 3 threads deep, but still within the clutch adjustment I need, or that the clutch is worn to, and we'll continue from there. And just a view up in here, so this is where this piece, this end screws to the end of this piston, which is typically kind of straight up and down, and that connects to the clutch pedal here. And you can see without it, it just goes flat to the floor. It's an on and off switch. Alright, I have the cylinder put back onto the piston rod, and just going to go ahead and snug down the set screw, or the set nut here. Going to go ahead and snug down the set nut. Okay, got it nice and tied up in there. Clutch feels good. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the flange bolts for my turbo. There's 4 bolts, or Allen heads, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're an absolute pain in the ass to get to. A lot of people have asked me what my kit is, what my turbo is. This is a CX Racing kit. It's the CX Racing IS300 manifold. The CX Racing T4 turbo. It's a GT35 68 AR. See, I actually have another one right here. They're actually decent size. It's just journal bearing, nothing fancy. Eventually I will get a good turbo in here, but just, you know, one thing at a time currently. So in order to get to the back bolt underneath this turbo, I need to go ahead and actually take the downpipe off, which is just a V-band, which I've loosened. So we can just go ahead and pop the V-band clamp off. Easy enough. Get it free. Okay. Now I can go down below and release the downpipe bolts. Another good idea when you're underneath the car is just to see what's going on. Make sure, you know, nothing is wiggled loose, nothing's leaking that you know of. God, the underside of this car is so clean. Other than dirt from me sliding off the track. No drips anywhere. Tranny, diff, engine. Everything is just nice. I'm going to do a quick nut and bolt check, make sure, you know, the tie rods are tight, make sure all my sway bars and just fittings, ball joints, everything, our drive shaft, everything is as it should be. Make sure nothing's touching anything hot, and we should be good for the drift event. Right now I'm going to go ahead and take the downpipe down so that I can get to the back of the turbo and snug that down a little better. Okay guys, to continue out the drift prep for this weekend. In order to be compliant, which I didn't have before, I need a harness bar on this car. I had actually taken the seat belts and used the factory rear seat belt secure points for the belts, which actually passed tech at my drag strip, but I want to be compliant with everything, and I just feel better, safer having a harness bar. So that's what Noah and myself are doing right now, is putting in the harness bar. So we've gone ahead and unbolted the upper seat belt, and we're going ahead and bolting in the brackets. All right, sorry it's a little dark in here, guys. All right. So, got the new harness bar just loosely installed at this point. It's just sitting kind of in place. Everything's bolted in, just a fit check, and it fits sweet. Just right to the factory seatbelt locations. Has these stabilizer bars down at the bottom. Fits perfectly in here. If someone wanted to, they could still sit in the back seat and just get a hold on for a ride. So I'm gonna bolt everything down nice and snug and go ahead and get these belts wrapped in here.